Good morning. Welcome to Coffee with Caregivers. This is our last Tuesday in June. Hard to believe that we'll be celebrating the 4th of July this coming weekend. There's lots going on in this world, as you all know, and I'm happy to be able to be with you today. I thought I'd start out a little bit with something personal. Because I am so grateful to be with you today. And my cup kind of goes along with what I'm going to talk to you a little bit about, because I'm going to talk to you about my youngest daughter and kind of the adventure that we've had with her the last few weeks. Now, my daughter is now 36 years old. She's our youngest child, the last to join our family through adoption. She was born with Down syndrome. With a bad heart. Her name is Melissa. And I got to tell you, I've talked about her a little bit before, I think, but she truly is just the joy of my life and means so much to all of our family. Well, since the very early age, for some reason, Melissa has been a huge fan of the Texas Longhorns. I don't know why. We didn't live in Austin when she grew up. We watched football games on TV, never went to one. But there's something about, I guess, the way they do things, how loud they are, and all that she is such a champion for the Texas Longhorns. So that's why I'm using my Longhorns cup. But we had quite an adventure. She also was born with feet deformities, significant ones, but ones that professionals felt like couldn't be handled until she was fully grown. And then when she was 21, when we went in to kind of look at getting her feet fixed, they discovered her heart needed a second open heart surgery. She had her first open heart surgery at 7 months. We got her when she was 5 months old. And then 2 months later, we went through a really frightening time with her. And then that was all good until her 22nd year. And we needed to go through another open heart surgery. So then for 5 years, they just saying, no, we don't want her under anesthesia. We don't want this. We don't want that. And they kept telling us that when we did it, she would be in a wheelchair for 3 months, totally non-weight bearing. We'd have to go into some kind of a rehabilitation facility, and just had a really hard time personally dealing with that. Make a longer story much shorter, hopefully. 3 months, May 29th, she had her first foot operated on. And has been a real trooper, has a boot to wear for 6 weeks, and has had a lot of pain, but is now bearing weight as she walks on that foot, which is a blessing, because last week Friday, a week ago last Friday, she said, oh, I hurt, and was holding her hand right under her, under her chest, right under her breast line in the middle. And so I looked, and she had this huge lump there. And I'm like, oh my goodness. So of course we took her to the clinic. I sent her straight to the emergency room. And so she was admitted and was in the hospital actually until last week, Friday evening. So a full week. She had surgery for 5 hernias that we didn't know she had, and separated abdominal wall muscles that they had to sew up all the way from her chest to her groin area. And it was a huge surgery for her. They said we found the hernia, that was a big lump I saw, because of her manipulating herself with one foot, right? And throwing herself kind of around on her good foot to sit down and get onto the toilet and into the wheelchair and things like that, that created the bigger hernia where big things came out. So after some work with the officials at the hospital, I was able to get permission to stay with her. She's nonverbal, couldn't answer any questions for them. can't say how bad she hurts, 1 to 10, any of those things. And so she had to have somebody there who really does understand her to communicate with her and for her. And so I was really excited about that. What I didn't understand at the time is that I wouldn't be able to leave her room for that entire time. Not to go to the cafeteria, not to go downstairs and meet my husband at the door and get a bag of clothes, my medicine, all those things it takes when you're going to stay with somebody in the hospital. I had to wear the mask 24/7. Hardest part of what needed to happen. I can live on protein bars, believe me, which I did, with a few little extra things. But wearing the mask was really hard. And even at night when nobody was coming in and out of her room, that kind of thing. And those that did certainly had masks on. But, we were so excited to come home last Friday and experience being home, experience being with our family again. And it just brought so many different feelings and emotions to bear about what the isolation we've all been involved in has created in our lives, about the feelings that we have about what's going on around us and within our own families, and how do we protect and care for those that we love dearly, those that live with us and those who don't. And so lots of prayers on my part certainly have been going up, not just for our family, but for everybody, and especially those that are dealing with some kind of illness or extra crisis in their lives. Melissa's got 6 weeks of wearing a body wrap and, all kinds of things to go now because of the extent of the surgery that she just had. And then she'll face the other foot surgery in order to get her feet to where she can actually walk, and we can go to the park or we can go walking on a trail, which she hasn't been able to do for years. So I'm grateful today, truly grateful for her successful outcomes, for her getting better as quickly as she is. I'm truly grateful for my work at the NFPA, the most fulfilling work I've ever done in all my years. And for the opportunity to spend some time with each of you each week. This has been a great addition to what I do, and what I was scared to death to do, quite honestly, and think I could, but obviously I like to talk. And so I think it's working out pretty good. So that said, I want to give you an update on Coffee for Caregivers. We're going to be changing things up a little bit, and I'll explain that to you. But first, I want to give you kind of an overview of what we've done. For those of you who maybe haven't participated since our first episode. This is the 12th, I believe. I'm doing this one by myself. I don't have a guest this time. I think I did the first one alone, and I'm doing this one alone, just so we can cover a few things that are really important for the future, and kind of tell you what our plans are for the future for this show. So in these, we've had 11 guests and over the weeks, and they're wonderful. They're all just exactly what we needed for the topic that we had chosen to talk about. So Rhonda Scordino, Arnie Eby, Hope Cooper, Kate Hawks, Margaret Doherty, Deanna Alonzo, Keith Mason, Chauncey Strong, Jennifer Townsend, and Seth Middleton, and Marita McCarkle. Thank you to all of you. You are wonderful. So for these first 11 sessions, not counting this one, we have recorded a total of 7 hours of content. And we've had a total of 3,890 viewers on these 11 episodes. So we're very grateful to each of you who has found us, who is following us, and telling people to if you enjoy it, maybe they ought to come on and see if they can enjoy it and learn some things too. What we try to do is give you some helpful information each time, but also share with you something about ourselves, not just me, but my guests as well, because we all have such different lives and so many different things happening to us, but we're all committed in some way to making foster care better for the children and families that we work with and that we serve. You might have noticed there was a different color scheme when you logged on. So we're saying goodbye to the old pink and yellow graphics that we had and a new look. So you got a preview of that in the beginning, and it's exciting. It's different. It's bolder, right? And so I hope that it will kind of emphasize that these episodes that we hope are going to get bigger and bolder and better as well as we restart our season on August the 4th, Tuesday, August the 4th at 10 a.m. Central Time. We will have the next Coffee with Caregiver episode. We're taking the month of July off, not to go on vacation, but to plan the episodes for August, September, and October. We need your help in order to do that. So what we're asking of each of you is, as you think of topics that you would like to hear us have an expert on to talk with you about, let us know that. Let us know if you know somebody that you think would be a great guest and why, right? What is their story? What do they have to tell? What is it they've learned that would be beneficial to others? We want to know what that stuff is. We want to highlight as many people as we can, because we know that there are heroes, many heroes every day doing this work that never get recognition. So if you know somebody that you think would be open to doing something like this, please let us know. And I'm sure that this will be somewhere on here as we're watching, or certainly afterwards in what you will find on your Facebook page, or our Facebook page. But you can always go to NFPA. Let me see where I was going to get it. Okay, nfpaonline.org/coffee. Or you can email our wonderful communications chair, Sean at nfpaonline.org. And so there's Sean's email address right there. And Sean will collect all the information as it comes in. And then he and I, and probably a couple of others, will work on scheduling, identifying topics, selecting the topics, and scheduling guests throughout the month of July. Hopefully we'll have everything for August scheduled by the time August gets here. And then while we're in August, we'll be doing the rest of the months. We felt like it was important for us to take a step back after 12 segments and look at what we did right, what we did wrong, what we sure could do better. Have some introspect for myself about how to be more effective, because we want this to be what you need, not what we think you need. So again, in order to know what you need, you have to tell us. I always say you have to be a mind reader to be a foster parent, and I got pretty good with the kids because I was right there looking at them. But I don't know what you want, right? Because I don't have a connection with you, even though I wish I did. So we need to hear from you. Another really great thing, and a very exciting thing for us at NFPA, is that as we roll out the next 3 months of our episodes, we have a corporate sponsor, who's helping us do this, and that's United Healthcare. We've had a partnership with United Healthcare for quite a few years, and they have supported the work of the NFPA in many areas. When we were looking for support to continue this program, they stepped up. So happy to let you know that when you see the new graphics in August, they will be very prominently there, listed as our corporate sponsor. I have a feeling we'll probably have probably one of their representatives on our show at least once a month to kind of talk about the things that they want to talk about that are related to providing care for kids in foster care. They provide a lot of managed Medicaid services for children in foster care and adoption. And so they have a huge interest in wanting to make sure that not only the children are getting what they need, if there's any kinks in getting those things, how do we work through that, but also how to make the system easier for you as a caregiver to work with them in order to get the kids' needs met in a timely and appropriate manner. So that's a huge, huge plus for us as well. So again, don't forget, we're going to talk about a few other things, but to send us your ideas, comments, questions. Let us know how to do this better. We sincerely want to know that, and we will pay attention to everything that you send us. So a while about probably 5 weeks ago now, I got a call from a staff person in Florida. And she was saying that she was with a child placing agency, it was a nonprofit, I believe. And she said that some foster parents had been calling with a concern. And the concern was that they had received stimulus checks. And they had received $500 for some children who had no longer lived with them, did not live with them this year. They lived with them last year, so they were in the household, but not this year. And they said, "What do we do? What do we do with the money that we got for those children? Where do we send it? Who does it go to? Does it go back to the IRS? Do we call CPS? They take it and give it to where the children are? What do we do?" I called our great partners at Child Welfare League of America and talked with their lead government affairs person, John Shimana, who is really an artist at working within the advocacy for foster care in Washington, D.C. and beyond, and ask him, did anybody talk about this piece of this? I know it was all done quick, and we know there's always loopholes and things that were missed and when they have to plan things really, really quickly. And he said, I don't know. Let me reach out to the committee that this came from, and let's see if they have something that maybe we haven't heard about. So he did that, and the response from the committee in the Congress was that no, they hadn't talked about that, and that the IRS would need to make a rule about that at some point, but they had no way of knowing when that might happen. So that's kind of where we were at on that. And I was kind of bummed out, right? I then was connected with another federal agency employee, actually last week while I was in the hospital with my daughter. And she was coming at this from the point that, are there foster families out there, kinship families, that haven't gotten their stimulus check yet? And if not, we've got some ways that we think we can maybe, give you some information you can spread around or whatever to help them know if you haven't got one yet, here's what you can do and what you can, who you can contact. So I thought, what the heck? I'm going to just ask her about what we do when people got money that those kids aren't there. And so I brought that up to her in the conversation, and she went, "Whoa, I don't know. Nobody's asked that question yet. And I said, well, we have some people who honestly, I mean, they want to do right by taxpayers' money. And they don't want to spend it because it's probably really not theirs, but what do they do with it? So she reached out to the IRS, and they came up with a document that you will be able to access. And I think here, Sean's putting it up for us now. COVID tax tip for 2020-73, returning an economic impact payment. And so the email that I got from the employee that I was speaking with said that this is the guidance for anybody who needs to return an impact payment. And that if it was delivered in error for whatever reason. And they say foster parents that want to return the payments can follow the guidance in this document. She's also telling me she shared the concerns that we mentioned to her with her other contacts, and they're waiting an official response for cases involving foster families. So I want you to know that we haven't dropped this. We are still working on this. Hopefully the IRS will come up with something specific to foster families or kinship families that claim the kids on their taxes. As I understand it, the same thing has happened to some birth families, that they either got their children back and they didn't get the stimulus check, obviously went to a foster family, or that they feel like they should have gotten it, and they didn't, or they got it, but their kids weren't there. They know their kids are in foster care. So those things are happening as well. It's not just the foster families. So hopefully we'll get some additional guidance to this. And when we do, just watch the various publications that we send out. Our e-newsletter should have it in there. If it's something as big as this, what we'll do is probably send it out in an email to everybody on our email list. Put it in our insider newsletter, which goes to members only, and put it on Facebook and Twitter as well, in order to get this out as much as we can. You can hear my daughter in the background. Sorry, Melissa. Shh. Sorry about that. So good information. Take a look at that when you're through with watching the show, and you can print that off if you want to. There's another document that I got yesterday that I also want you to have, and so it too will be available at the end of this episode. And this comes from the lead person at the CHAMPS campaign, Hope Cooper. Hope's just a wonderful person. She was on one of our episodes, quite an advocate for foster care and for all things foster care, and really has a heart for the families, the foster families. And the CHAMPS campaign was put together and funded mostly by several foundations, Lee Foundations, Annie and Casey Foundation. And it's comprised of 7, I think, don't quote me on that, organizations that have been working diligently for the last couple of years on improving life for foster families, improving recruitment, certainly improving supports and services and retention of foster families. And a huge amount of work has been done. The National Foster Parent Association is one of those lead agencies. So as you look at this document, and I think it's just maybe 2 pages, and then, 2 pages. And then there's also another, when you click on one of the links, you'll find a pandemic EBT program handout that's really might be helpful to you, because any child who's eligible for free lunches at school is eligible for the pandemic EBT program. That means an EBT card that has money for food for you to help feed your children who are in your family through foster care. So an important flyer that can be accessed through one of the links in the document you're looking at right now. Just to highlight a tad, we just issued a new report. It's a policy on diligent recruitment of foster families. I think if you will look at that, they analyzed 42 states. So your state more than likely might be in this analyzed report about what's going on, what their plans are between 2020 and 2024 to bring on families and what that might look like and how you might be able to assist. Then there's, we organized a letter from the National Foster Parent Association and NACAC, the North American Council on Adoptable Children, along with the leadership at staff at CHAMPS. And we sent this letter to members of Congress, every member of Congress in early May, with National Foster Care Month recognition. We also sent it to lead staff at various important committees like House Ways and Means, Senate Finance, and some of the others that have control and make all the decisions about what happens in foster care, at least from the federal government's viewpoint. The letter was well received. We're still getting comments back, questions being asked about some of the things that we referenced in there, about the things that we think need to happen in order to continue to have enough appropriately trained and supported foster families to meet the needs. There's also a bunch of new tools out there. This EBT flyer that I told you about, it kind of falls in there. There's a great 3-part series blog by Dr. Denise Goodman, who is just a really good speaker about recruitment and retention and her perspectives on how agencies and families can address the challenges and ensure that children and youth in foster care continue to have stable, quality foster homes during and after the pandemic. They've done a lot of work on leveraging federal policy to drive state policy. You'll find some information there. We had some partners, state partners, share expertise with national audiences. You'll find that information there. I was in an op-ed piece with a gentleman from Iowa that was run in the Des Moines Register. Just a lot of other things that we've done. So I want you to take a look at that and know that, you've got some extremely talented people that directly work for the CHAMPS campaign. And then you have the organizations that are the 7 lead organizations that drive that work and participate in that work that are doing a lot of work behind the scenes that you don't know about, but it's really important to the future of foster parenting, the safety and welfare and well-being of foster families, as well as those that each of you serve. So these are the kinds of things that I think it's important to highlight, because if you're not a member of the NFPA, you need to be. We don't get any federal funds. We don't get any state funds. We, work with partners, corporations to try to help us do our work, pay for our work. Certainly looking at grant foundations for grants and things like that. But, the bulk of our support comes from our members, our memberships. And it's really important for each of you to know that right now it's $35. I think there's going to be a recommendation coming from the membership committee that might change a bit next year. But that's not much money for a couple to belong to a national organization that is absolutely working at least 5 days a week, and I can guarantee you often on the weekends, to make things happen, to influence, to provide information to people who do make those decisions, whether they're laws that have to be passed or policies that have to be developed and written. It can have huge impact there too. And so I work with the Children's Bureau, is ongoing and frequent. And in fact, on Wednesday of this last week, Associate Commissioner Jerry Miller, Dr. Miller served on a panel that we had a webinar on that was recorded and now is also available to anybody on our National Foster Parent Association Training Institute website. It was the last in a series of 4 webinars about working with parents of children who join your family. It was wonderful to have the commissioner be able to do that with us. Certainly a hard time for him to take the time. In fact, he had to leave the call 30 minutes early because he had to be on another important call at the White House with the president on foster care issues. And so his very able and willing special assistant, David Kelly, filled in on the last part for questions and answers. So that's kind of the work part. And I've got just another thing or two, fun stuff, and then we'll be done for today. Sometimes you think you've got good information and then you wind up knowing, well, why didn't I know that? And so I got this thing about what should you not recycle. We recently moved into an apartment building, and so we have all these rules about what you can and can't recycle. And I knew don't recycle toilet paper and paper towels, right? I knew plastic bags. I knew shredded paper. Although I really didn't know that. I thought we could put shredded paper in a plastic trash bag and throw it out. No shredded paper. No pizza boxes, no styrofoam. But here's the one that I didn't know. No clothes hangers. And I've been doing that as we moved and we downsized a lot of old clothes hangers, and I was putting them in the recycle. So I learned something that was important, so I wanted to share that with you. Clothes hangers get caught in the equipment that moves stuff up the conveyor belts and things like that. So don't do that. Don't do coat hangers. No food containers that are dirty or have food in them. No drinking glasses, mirrors, or window glass. Wrong kind of glass. Can't use it. Energy efficient light bulbs. A big no-no. Plastic toys and disposable coffee cups. So just a little bit of hint there. And then I was looking at a thing that talked about 5 ways to support your loved ones during any stressful time, but certainly at this time. The first one is check in often with friends, family, and loved ones. It's important that you don't isolate yourself so much that you start, kind of to regress or enter maybe a low-grade depression or something, and then you stop reaching out to other people. Reach out. They need to talk with you too, just as much as you need to talk with them, all right? We need each other. We're creatures of wanting to touch, right? Needing hugs, needing to communicate with people. And we have to make sure that we continue to do that. Take time to listen and ask questions, especially if you think your loved one is struggling. Really crazy important. Sometimes we find out about things that somebody said or did after it's done, and we're like horrified. Why didn't we see that coming? I think sometimes, and to protect ourselves, we don't let ourselves see things coming. I've been guilty of that, I know, in the past. But to open ourselves up, take some risk, because it will benefit somebody else that we care about, or even somebody we may not even know very well. But it's the right thing to do for them. Third, be a safe space where the people in your life can vent without judgment. We're all saying things right now we probably wouldn't say it again. We're frustrated. We're angry. We're suffering from anxiety. We're feeling less rather than better, right? Geez, I even changed my hairdo this morning, right? For what? I don't know. I could look at myself in the mirror one more day, right? Because nothing's changed. Not enough has changed. And I think that, we're all struggling. So if somebody can vent, if you would let them be that sounding board, let them do it. Doesn't mean you need to give them advice. Doesn't mean you need to tell them they're right or wrong. It just means they needed to talk to somebody. And talking to somebody oftentimes helps them decide what it is they need to do, or at least where to go for more help. Fourth, everyone is experiencing the impacts of COVID-19 differently. So avoiding minimizing other people's struggles or giving your opinion. I know that it gets irritating sometimes when people have a lot of complaints and they're complaining about what's happening to them. And sometimes we tend to get to where we got to kind of one up them and say, well, for me, I got this, and that sort of thing. Instead of giving them credibility for having those feelings that they have. You want people to find you credible. You want people to validate what you're feeling. Validate what they're feeling. Again, doesn't mean that you're giving them an opinion about it or anything. It just means you're saying, okay, I get it. We each handle things differently. And the way you're handling that, I get it. Sometimes that's all it takes. And the last one, encourage your family and friends to help, to find help if they need it, through resources that provide mental health and behavioral health information. So much can be done nowadays. We've certainly learned that in telemedicine. I saw a commercial the other day. We had 0 episodes before the pandemic, and now we're doing over 5,000 episodes a day within the network of mental health agency. So the help is there. We just have to reach out for it and encourage people. If you think that that's what they need, encourage them to do that. And with that, I read a little thing that I found that foster mom had written. I think I did this on an early episode, but I wanted to read it again because those of you that are caregivers, I think this speaks a lot to now. And it's called Crunchy Mama. If you're having an especially tough day with your kids, let them know. As you tuck them into bed, say, today was rough. We will try again tomorrow. Kiss them goodnight. Remind them of your endless love and forgive your heart. Then give your heart a rest, because not every day can be easy, and we will have days that wear on us. Be gentle to yourself. Be gentle to your children, and just try again tomorrow. That's all we can do. And it'll be enough. It will. We question ourselves as parents all the time. But you are enough. And you give it your best. Knowing that every day can't be your best. It's impossible for any human being. Reminds me of another quote that I like. Don't know who said it. That the harder the wind blows, the deeper the root grows. Trials and tribulations are difficult, but they make us go stronger as we look at the lessons that we can learn from each one of them. This is a time in history, not only with the pandemic, but with the racial unrest and the divide that is happening, that calls for extraordinary measures from all of us. So I'm going to give you one last quote, again, by an unknown person, but this one hit me at this time. You know better than anyone that speaking for children has always been and always will be an uphill journey. However, without you, lives would be wasted, if not lost completely. families would suffer without recognition and hope for change. And the leaders in our communities, states, and nation would be permitted to overlook our biggest obligation to America, our children. Thank you for watching this last of our 12 series of episodes. And I look forward to each of you joining, and maybe many, many more that who've talked into taking a shot at looking at what we're doing with Coffee with Caregivers on August the 4th. Thank you.